less than 3 weeks away from the start of the regular season, and it has been an action-packed summer. I'll recap all the action for you in this edition of Monika's Play-by-Play. First of all, in Washington State, for the Seattle Kraken, they've made their first franchise head coaching change, bringing in Dan Bylsma. They've also hired Jessica Campbell, the first full-time female head coach in the NHL, and we look forward to seeing what type of results they can get out of their squad this season. Now we'll turn to the preseason action in BC for September 14th, and what a day it was. The first report of the day came in out near Victoria, and it was the T121As. Who are they, you might ask? A lot of people were wondering the same thing, but they're this year's expansion team, so you may be hearing more of them in the weeks and months ahead. Just 3 whales in that group, but we had another group of Ts making their way out of Admiralty Inlet. The T46s, who were offering a tryout to continued free agent T65A5 Indy. He's practiced with a lot of different squads this summer. He has yet to sign a contract, but most recently has been with the T46s. Next up, also near Victoria, we had a decent-sized group, T36As and T69s. They started out near Race Rocks, made their way, milling and killing, up into the Canadian side of Harrow Strait in the evening. You may have heard that T69E was also assessing his different contract options this summer as he became an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career, but he has ultimately decided to re-sign with the home team and is back with the T69s. Meanwhile, up north of Nanaimo, we had a huge tea party up here. I've got my notes to make sure I don't miss anybody. We had the T2Cs, T23 and T23Ds, T35As, T60D and E, go Barge Boys, T75Bs, and the T101s also made an appearance. So they are the first team to flesh out their full roster. 23 whales all traveling together, made their way north past Qualicum Bay and Hornby Island up into the Courtenay Comox region yesterday afternoon. Meanwhile, further west in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, T63 and T65, back from their seasonal vacation in Alaska, though they were seen, unfortunately for the fans, heading out west, further out the Strait of Juan de Fuca. May or may not make another appearance this season. We'll just have to wait and see. Also out there were the T46Bs with the T46B1s, also T46C2, and you'll never guess, Noah, T49A1, still doing his own thing, hanging out with that group. So they're getting there, almost have a full team, about 12 whales in that group, but again, heading west. Meanwhile, another report came up in the Gulf Islands. It was the T109As off Chemainus. As you no doubt heard, they suffered a tragedy this off-season, losing one of their own in T109A3, and T109A3's calf is still kind of MIA. She has not yet rejoined her team. We understand she needs to take a lot of time during this difficult period where she's lost her mother, but we hope to see her back with the team at some point this season. Meanwhile, even further out west were some other whales that have yet to be identified. Rumor is they may be some of the so-called high Ts, so rarely seen members of the West Coast Ts, but making an appearance out further to the west. But unfortunately, a large group of humpbacks out there called for a delay of game. They interfered with the assessment of who all was present for this particular group of Biggs killer whales, leaving fans extremely disappointed. The humpbacks ended up being the main attraction, and we did not get IDs on those particular Biggs killer whales. Also, one of our own fans sent in a report of a small group of Biggs killer whales hunting way up in Jervis Inlet, so kind of off the way up here. Again, another unidentified group, but certainly since they were seen milling and killing, they add to the Biggs killer whale total for the day. Finally, up off Campbell River, I really need you guys to help me out on some of these IDs. You present a daily challenge, it seems like, up there. So let's work on those ID quality photos. But thankfully, after reaching out to many members of the press, we were able to get word that the T36s and T137s were up there south of Quadra Island, possibly some others in the mix, but nothing for sure there. So still some tentative numbers to be worked out, but we're looking at a grand total of 74 or more members of the West Coast Tees in the Salish Sea on September 14th, and interestingly, almost all of them in BC waters. But as you know, you never count out the home team. Southern residents J-Pod, K-Pod, and the Greater L4s made their way in on Thursday night. They were off the mouth of the Fraser for a good day and a half, and yesterday started making their way down. They were heard on the Boundary Pass hydrophones in the evening, and then more incredible vocals on the Harrow Strait hydrophones in the evening. And while the vocals were phenomenal, they haven't been super cooperative, giving us two, late night passes. So we didn't actually get, a photo assessment of how their team is doing at this point in time. But we believe a total of 58 southern resident killer whales were present. So as you can see, that gives the day to the West Coast Tees. But again, this is just the preseason, so we'll see what happens once the regular action begins.